What's up, everybody? I'm Dr. Profit. We got JJ over here with us. We're going to be running these YouTube videos hopefully every day, but mainly Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Today, we're kicking it off on a Wednesday to get you some content going before Thursday Night Football. But without further ado, we're going to go start with overreactions, and then at the end, we're going to recap a lot of week one. So, first overreaction, this one's mine. Dallas is coming out of the NFC, man. I know they're not going to win every game 40-0. I know the Giants looked really bad, but I was coming in high on Dallas to begin with, and there's a lot of confirmation bias coming out of that Sunday Night Football game where they just slapped New York.
And that game was just absolutely crazy. I mean, you
From
just
the
looking at
start,
how
dude.
from the start, just turnover, block field goal for touchdown. Everything went right for them.
Bro, Micah Parsons went on his own podcast after the game, and it was like, why was Daniel Jones in the game in the fourth quarter? Like criticizing the other team's coaching staff, much less the
Yeah,
players. Like that's embarrassing, dude.
no, it
And
was.
you don't just do that. Like if
Yeah,
if you're if you're coming out after the game and saying that, like you're feeling real good.
yeah. Especially trying to coach up somebody else's team. Like, yeah,
And Dak's not gonna get those fluke. Yeah, dude, it's nuts. Dak's not going to look as bad as he did last year with those fluky interceptions. They added Brandon Cooks. Tony Pollard was better than Zeke to begin with. Now they're finally able to just give him the ball every play. Their defense added Stephon Gilmore to what was already a crazy defense with Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs was leading the secondary, but the secondary as a whole wasn't that great.
mm-hmm.
The defensive line is nuts. Nobody's going to be able to run on them. They're going to get pressure on every quarterback. Their secondary stacked. There's not really a weakness I see in this team. And I would have said that before the season. And it's just now that they just absolutely smacked the Giants. It's like, all right, like this is feels like the only logical conclusion to come out of that game.
Yeah, and it is a stacked NFC as well.
I think it's super top heavy, but I see even out of the top like 4 or 5 teams, I think a lot of them have holes. I don't know if Dallas has a glaring hole.
That may not, but we'll find out in 2 or 3 more weeks.
I mean, so it's in reality it's Dallas, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and who else?
Um, I mean,
That's kind of it.
I can't say Minnesota. I can't because
No, dude, don't
yeah,
even. We can do a whole other hour episode on me ranting
yeah,
on Minnesota because they're not a contender. But
they're not.
Philadelphia has holes in the linebacker group. I don't know how important that's going to end up being just because the secondary and defensive line is so good. And then San Francisco's, I think their interior offensive line isn't as good as people are paying attention to, but they
Mm,
also just ran all they wanted on the Steelers. So I'm not going to
yeah,
exactly plant my flag on that take either. But I mean, that Dallas just looked too good.
they did. And at the end of the day, it is week one. So a whole lot
Hey,
gonna be going on.
they're going to be proving me right for the next 17 weeks. I'm excited. All right, we got number 2. Browns offense are going to cost them a chance to contend. I'll let you start off with this one.
With that one, oh shit. I meant to put that as Bengals, but yes. The Bengals
We'll
offense
stick
is
to
gonna cost them
Bengals.
a chance. That's my fault. I typed it in wrong. But yeah,
No,
the
you're good.
Bengals, obviously everything that could go wrong went wrong for that offense. And you got Myles Garrett lining up on defense above the center, doing hezzies, and still getting to the quarterback. There's
Bro,
just
he's a baller. He's a baller from the heart.
yeah. The one bright thing you could see from that offense was Joe Mixon that day. He ran well, but he always got hit before the line of scrimmage because he had 57 yards after contact and only finished the game with 56 yards. T.
I
Higgins is
think
not going to have 8 targets and go 0 catches again. Like, there's so many off target throws. We can go on and on about it. Go ahead. Because I know you're going to
I
say
was just
something.
gonna say, I think this one it's more of an attribute to how good the Browns defense was than how bad the Bengals offense was.
Yeah.
because Burrow just got paid. That leads to a lot of players having at least starting the following year as a
Hmm.
down year. But
Yeah.
he also just missed however many weeks of preseason because of his, I think it was a calf
It's
injury.
calf injury. Yeah. You need those
Yeah.
reps.
So he was rusty. It's a division game. The other team, the defense was constructed so beautifully. The game plan was executed perfectly. They brought a lot of pressure. And I don't think even coming in, I didn't think that Joe Mixon was going to have that great of a season. So the
Especially
fact
having
that
one of the worst inefficient seasons of all time last year.
he,
Like he was really
I
competing
just
for the worst. It was
he's
bad.
not that efficient in general. Like
Yeah.
he's a playmaker, but he's not reliable in my opinion. Which is like
Yeah.
it's not exactly a bad thing. There are players that have that role and players that don't. But
Hmm.
if he's the one you're relying on, that's like was the best part of your offense. I don't think that's going to be consistent throughout the season when you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins leading that passing attack. I think
That's a very
for
good point.
me, for me, I think that defense is way more of a liability than the offense. And even if the offense doesn't do that well this season, I don't think the offense is going to what's going to be holding that team back.
Yeah. And to think about how good that Browns defense was, Joe Burrow had to deal with like the most like was it mixed coverages or how do you call it? Um disguise
Blended.
coverages. It was at 58%, which is like by far higher than any quarterback in week one. So the Browns defense was on top of everything. They weren't gonna let nothing slide, nothing go easy. He really had to read on the spot like what the defense was gonna do after the snap. Because
Yeah,
everything he read pre-snap, obviously it didn't matter because if 58%, that's disguise coverages, that's a lot.
that Browns defense has potential to be crazy this season. Like
Definitely.
I'm taking more out of that Browns defense than I am from
And they
any
do
of
have a
that
new
game.
coordinator this year, right?
Yeah, Jim Schwartz.
Jim Schwartz, yes. Who's always been a
So
solid coordinator.
it'll be very interesting to see how that comes together. He has a good track record as a play caller, so they have a really good personnel in that secondary too. I'm excited. It feels like they finally have threats on that defensive line besides Myles Garrett, which I don't think we've ever had the chance to say about the Browns. So combine
Yeah.
that with the new coordinator, there's a lot of potential to come out of that.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of
They
hype the
get
next
they get the
couple weeks as
Steelers
well.
next week, don't they? They get the Steelers. Oh,
I could look right now.
that's gonna be a problem for the Steelers. I think it's Ravens, Bengals, Browns,
Ravens,
Steelers.
Bengals. Yep.
So I mean, I guess we'll see. The Bengals have another test next week. It's not like the Ravens defense is a cupcake matchup for them either. But if they do
That's gonna
well
be
next
Monday
week, then
night prime time. Ooh wee.
I love it. But if the Bengals do well next week, then that kind of puts the overreaction to bed. But if they don't, then we're probably going to be having the same conversation next week.
Yeah, and realistically, with the amount of reps that Joe Burrow lost, I wouldn't expect to see this offense get back on track until maybe week 3 or week 4.
I would even go as far as week 5. Who are their matchups? Off the top of your head, who they
Uh,
play in those in week 3 and 4?
let's see. So they have Baltimore next week, and then week 3 they have the Rams. After that, the Titans, and then the Cardinals. So if they don't bounce
It's
back
probably
between those guys, then there's a problem.
yeah. No, if they don't bounce back after Tennessee and Arizona, we're having a completely different conversation. It's not the offense will cost them to contend. It'll be what draft pick are they going to be contending for next year?
Exactly.
All right. This one absolutely breaks my heart to talk about as a Lions fan. The Green Bay Packers have fallen into another decade of really good quarterback play. Jordan Love looked solid.
No, he did.
Now, this is one they did play the Bears. The Bears maybe put together the worst coach game of week 1. So I'm not too bullish on this take. But Jordan Love, he looked good when he
He
came in
did
for
make good
Aaron
reads.
Rodgers. Yeah, he looked good when he came in for Aaron Rodgers in that Dallas game last year. He looked good in the preseason. He looked good in week one. It feels like the writing on the wall. We saw this before with Aaron Rodgers taking over for Brett Favre. I don't think Jordan Love is as good as Aaron Rodgers, but if he's going to be a top half quarterback, potentially even top 10 in a couple years, it's amazing how the Packers keep doing this through so many different coaches and managers. It's crazy to watch, and I hate it.
Yeah, even watching him, he looked like he was nervous out there too. The way he was. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that even with him being nervous, there were some throws that he made where it was like you would not expect him to complete those passes or put the throw like where it needed to be.
And that's kind of like the point I was gonna make too. Like, if that's how he plays nervous and he still played pretty good, he's just gonna get better from here on out.
And Christian Watson's gonna come back too. Christian Watson was out week one. That's gonna be huge.
Yeah, they need someone that could just take the top off the defense.
Yeah. Dude, if I wasn't a Lions fan, I'd be saying I'm so excited to watch him develop. But since I'm a Lions fan, I'm terrified. I'm not excited. I'm not excited for this. I don't think Romeo Dubs is that crazy as a receiver, to be fair.
No.
Who's the one that just drafted? Is it Jaden Reed?
Reed, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know much about him, so we'll see how good he is. It's just it feels like they're one weapon away from having a really well-oiled offense.
And they need their running backs to stay healthy.
Jordan Love on his rookie contract. So what was Aaron Jones' injury? Do you remember?
I remember hearing about Aaron Jones' injury. I didn't really look much into it.
Because I'm going to be completely honest, that was the only reason my A.J. Dillon rushing attempts prop hit. Was because, let's see, I'm pulling it up right now. Give me 2 seconds. 28, no. Oh, hamstring issue. That's not good. He said
everybody has a hamstring issue this season.
Dude, those first couple weeks where it's like their first real load of play, it's a problem. Hamstrings and groin injuries, you're going to see a lot of, unfortunately. That happened with Keenan Allen. George Kittle was calf last year. Keenan Allen, George Kittle, DeAndre Swift. That was
it just seems like a way higher rate going into week one. At least for it's star players type situation.
Yeah, unfortunately, it will not be the last of it. So, for anybody who bets on props, as much as I criticize prize picks, go take advantage of those first half reboots because those are going to come in clutch if you use them.
Definitely.
But yeah, Jordan Love actually looks good. The other NFC North teams are not very happy about that. JJ, we're back to your overreaction. Players are only good coming off their contract years because everybody who got paid this offseason looked absolutely horrendous in week one.
Oh, they sure did look horrendous. And obviously, by far, Joe Burrow was the worst one. When you look at his stats, like when you're in the same category as Kenny Pickett week one, that's not a good sign.
Bro, Lamar didn't look that good either.
Lamar didn't look good. He threw a stupid interception. I don't know if you've seen it.
We're not talking about Lamar is because he played Houston. If he played a real defense, we'd be having a completely separate conversation.
And I think
who else got paid this?
Actually, you know what? I take that. Only one of them played good, and that was Justin Herbert. Because he was in that shootout. I know they're trying to criticize him for his really A-dot. But I don't know.
To be fair, the run game came in more clutch than people expected it to.
Yeah.
Damn, he was 23 of 33. I didn't realize he was that. Yeah, it'll be a passing game or decide to rely more on the run.
Yeah.
But who else got paid this summer? We were
Jalen
talking about this
Hurts.
before the show. Now I'm blanking.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts did not look great.
Nope.
I didn't get to watch that game, but everybody that I talked to was like shocked that the Eagles ended up winning that game.
Yeah, they just let them come back too at the end. It's kind of crazy. But one thing I noticed, all those quarterbacks that got paid, I don't think they played a single snap in preseason.
You're right.
Unless you could think of one that did. But I feel like even just 1 or 2 drives in the preseason
No.
will be beneficial. What are you thinking of?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm trying to think if Lamar played, but I don't think he did.
He didn't.
Yeah,
Because
that's a good.
Tyler Huntley didn't even play either. But I think he was hurt.
Jeez. So do you think it's more the contract? Because I mean, I feel like we see. Oh, Daniel Jones. That was the one we're
Daniel Jones.
forgetting.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh,
was the worst of them all.
that was the
But
worst of
he
them
did
all.
get preseason snaps, so that debunks that whole thing.
True.
So I don't know. I don't think it's about the
It's
preseason.
something to
I
look
think
into
it's
though.
just
I think
you
it's
get the weight lifted off your shoulders.
yeah. I think they see that contract
Josh
and then
Jacobs last year. It's just I think it's playing on that contract year. Yeah. So
yeah.
target players that are on their contract year this season. That's the lesson. Because all those
Oh,
quarterbacks went
definitely.
crazy last year. Even running backs, Josh Jacobs went crazy. Saquon went crazy. It's not an unusual thing to consider.
Yeah.
All right. Overreaction number 5. Told you guys I'm a Lions fan. There is absolutely 100% bias in this overreaction. But the Detroit Lions are going to be contenders this year. I thought we were going to be a year away coming in. I did not expect things to gel as quickly as it did in week 1. We got a lot of new additions to the secondary. They looked great together. The defensive line could not look better. Aiden Hutchinson developed more than I expected him to in one offseason. Jared Goff picked up right where he left off last year. Monra St. Brown, same thing. Now we got David Montgomery, who's probably a better back than Jamal Williams. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, who's definitely, they're using him as a more efficient weapon than DeAndre Swift. And they came out after the game and said the only reason they didn't use Jahmyr Gibbs more was because it was his first NFL game. They're going to get him more work.
And that was a 25 to 75 split.
Yeah. Jahmyr Gibbs is lethal. There's a reason they were so excited to draft him, if any of you guys saw that video. So I'm super excited to see how all that comes together. By week 5 or 6, Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to be getting his full load. And then by that point, we're adding Jameson Williams to an offense that's already functioning across all levels. Sam Laporta I think he tied the most targets for a week 1 rookie tight end since TJ Hawkinson when he joined the Lions. So usually tight ends take usually tight ends take 2-3 years to break out. He's coming in week 1 and having a great week against one of the best defenses in the NFL. Everything's looking up for the Lions. And who do we play next week? Seattle, who just got absolutely manhandled by the LA Rams of all teams. I'm super excited to see what's going to come. I'm not picking us to win the Super Bowl. That I think we're definitely 1 year away from. But we talked earlier about how it's really just Dallas, Philadelphia, and San Francisco at the top of the NFC. It's pretty top heavy. So that 4 to 7 range, wide open. I'd put Lions at that 4th spot, honestly.
I would. But you forgot their best addition. Kadarius Toney. All those drops.
Okay, I will say this. As many drops as Kansas City had, Mahomes didn't look as good as people are saying he did.
No, that receiver
there was a lot of
is
throws
horrible.
at the ankles. That one that Toney dropped straight in his hands when he was wide open, that was behind him. Yes, he absolutely should have caught it, but that was not a good throw. So it's there's a lot of stuff where it was the Lions made Mahomes' life a living hell.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are going to be fine. Tony helped us out a little bit, and Chris Jones and Travis Kelce have been playing. The Lions absolutely would not have won that game. But I'm not saying this because of the fact the Lions won. That's obviously a super nice benefit. I'm saying this because of how the Lions looked, the culture that they're building. They got this new blue ski mask that they're starting next week, apparently. Detroit sold out every ski mask in the city because of this new thing that the team's running. So it's everybody super excited on the team and the fans and the coaching staff. Everything just looks so great right now. I don't know. We've never been able to be this excited as Lions fans in a long time. So
I
it's
mean, I
cool to
don't
see
blame you.
everything coming up. It's crazy.
And then
And
Hutchinson looked great.
he looked so good, dude. To
So good, the
beat to
offensive
beat
tackle had to jump on every play.
bro,
False start every time.
even with those false starts and getting double teamed, he beat him every single time, dude. It was nuts.
And
James
they didn't call
Houston,
it until the most important play of the game.
that made me. That was so funny, dude. That was so funny. I wonder if that was strategic by the Lions staff to not say anything until it was super important. Because there are coaches that do that. I think it was.
Yeah.
I don't remember which college football game it was, like 4 or 5 years ago, but some team ran screenplay in the red zone, like 5 yards out from the end zone, where they just threw it out wide receiver screen, and they ran it in.
Mm.
But I think it was the Notre Dame coach realized that the wide receivers were blocking before the catch was made. So he let the touchdown go the first time, so it's still a close game. And then with like maybe a minute left, the same situation happened again. He told the refs to watch out for it before the play, and they called it, and that ended up winning them the game. So it's like I wonder how many nuanced stuff like that, where it's like we see it, but we're gonna wait to call it out. How often that happens?
Yeah. I think it happens pretty often, but maybe this one was more strategic, possibly. But it's just funny, like when you're just watching the game, you hear the announcers talking about it, like there you go, he jumps again. It's
Yeah,
like if
there's
everybody can see it, then it's like
yeah.
the ref shouldn't even be told at that point that he's jumping.
Yeah, the NFL definitely wanted the Chiefs to win that game because, like, I don't know if you saw there was some podcast that came out with Andre Iguodala this summer where he basically told one of the rookies going into Game 7 where it was like, I hope you're ready to win this game because we don't just have to win the game, we have to win by 10 because like the NBA wants the other team to win in advance, basically. Like it's better for
Yeah,
the narrative and for the money. So it's like that's probably what was happening in that Chiefs Lions game too. You want those reigning champs to win at home against
yeah,
Lions aren't America's team, but like right now everybody's falling in love with Dan Campbell and like the culture that's being built over there. So it's like having the Chiefs win a nail biter against that team as the first game of the season as during their Super Bowl ceremony. Like it makes for a good headline. So
definitely.
I think it was intentional that there's little stuff like that they can get away with not calling. And they're like, hey, let's be a little bit more lenient there. I don't know. Detroit Lions conspiracy, but that's how I saw
It's good enough for me.
it. All right, week 1 rundown.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, we're going to be rapid. Detroit, Kansas City. We already talked about it a little bit. I'll just say Detroit looked really good. Kansas City would have won that game with Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. They should be getting back next week. I don't know if
And
you got
one thing
anything to
I'll
add on
say,
to that.
the Chiefs wide receiver core is a problem. Then something that should have addressed better in the offseason. And I don't know, it may hurt them in the playoffs, but we'll see.
I think their wide receiver will be fine. Honestly, Sky Moore is good. She should have never been expected to be a #1 option. I think he'll be
I
fine
don't
as
think he
number
was
2 or number
expected
3
to be a
option.
#1 option, but him not earning any targets is a little concerning.
I think he had like 5 targets, didn't he? Because I know he had one that he dropped, one that he caught, and then CJ Gardner Johnson punched out on like a crucial second and
He
long.
had he had 3 targets.
Okay, that sounds about right. And then, but
So
like he should never be
everyone who had
expected to be a
targets
wide
ahead of him
receiver
was
one.
Kadarius Toney, Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, Noah Gray, and Justin Watson ahead of him in targets.
Yeah, I bet the Chiefs are gonna run a lot of 2 tight end sets
Yeah.
with Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. But then Kadarius Toney wasn't even supposed to play that game. Like, no, apparently the Chiefs weren't even expecting him to play until a few days before the game. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they'll be fine. I'm not. If Travis Kelce is out, the receiving core is screwed. But as long as Travis Kelce's playing, I think the other guys are fine as 2 and 3 options.
Yeah, he really covers that problem up.
Oh yeah.
But let's go to
All
the
right,
next game.
Houston, Baltimore. CJ Stroud. Some people thought he looked good. Some people thought he didn't. I didn't think he looked the best, but I was expecting him to look worse than he did against that Baltimore defense. So I'll give him his props.
Yeah, because
And
that's a
Lamar
tough
Jackson.
defense.
Yeah. And then who got hurt in that secondary? Was it Marlon Humphrey? Somebody got hurt.
During the game, it was the safety, I believe. I think it was like a torn pec.
Maybe. I
Because
know
Humphrey didn't play.
Yeah. No, somebody got injured. Like they're gonna miss Marcus Williams.
Marcus Williams. Yeah. What did he tear?
It doesn't say. I don't think. I'm looking on ESPN.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't say. But regardless, that's a loss. He's not going to be able to play. The Bengals next week. We'll see how that goes. Lamar's going to need to play better. Zay Flowers looked great. Rashad Bateman had his spots. Odell came up with a big catch later. They get Mark Andrews back. They should look better next week. I was surprised they looked as mediocre as they did, but they got away with it because it's Houston.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, Cleveland. Cleveland's defense looks like it's going to be absolutely elite. Deshaun Watson still not living up to that trade, but they pulled out the game. Joe Burrow still breaking off a lot of rust from being injured in the preseason. Hopefully that changes soon. You got anything to add there?
I don't think we'll see another game where T. Higgins gets 0 catches off of 8 targets.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of receivers all season that get.
And there was only one catchable target he had, and he dropped that one. Yep. So I don't think we'll see that again.
They better, bro. They're going to cruise. The Cincinnati fan base is going to cruise by him if they do.
No, definitely.
Tampa Bay, Minnesota. Captain Kirk, 3 turnovers. 3 turnovers. Tampa Bay is not a good team. You should not be losing to a Baker Mayfield-led Tampa Bay team. I don't care.
Baker Mayfield looked above average, which is very surprising.
Minnesota's defense helped him do that because Baker Mayfield, love the guy, love his energy. I'm rooting for him, but just looking at the stats, he's not very good.
No, he's not. But they made him look good week 1.
Yeah, Minnesota's defense is bad. Their offense is heavily reliant on Justin Jefferson because, as you could tell,
all they do is they just run plays to free him open, and that's it.
Madison is crazy inefficient. Jordan Addison had 1 big play. KJ Osborne is a 4th option for a reason. A tight end is very rarely going to ever carry you to a win. So it's really just Justin Jefferson versus defense. He had 140 yards in the first half. I think the Vikings were winning. I don't know if he caught another pass the entire second half.
I think he caught one more pass because I think he finished with 150.
Yeah, and then they obviously looked horrible the entire second half. So
yeah,
I think I could be wrong, but I think the Vikings blitzed a bunch, which is something to keep in mind, and we'll probably talk more about tomorrow.
If it wasn't the highest week 1, it was definitely top 3.
Yeah. All right. Next, Titans, New Orleans. Titans should be scared. There's no reason they should have lost that game. Absolutely
it was the battle of field goals.
Yeah, bro. Tannehill force-feeding DeAndre Hopkins, which is usually a good idea, but in that game, it was not. He was bracketed, double covered. Like, the Saints knew, we're going to let somebody else other than DeAndre Hopkins beat us. Doesn't matter who. The Titans said, screw you guys. We're throwing it to DeAndre Hopkins as much as possible. And they lost that battle.
And those running back snaps are very interesting. With it was pretty much like a 50-50 split between Tajay Spears and Derrick Henry. Obviously, they want Tajay Spears more for the passing game, but that's going to be their offense that they're going to have to deal with a lot, just being behind.
Oh, yeah. It'll be I'm not looking forward to watching this Titans offense, if I'm being completely honest. I'm hoping
I
Tannehill
don't
and
think anyone ever
Hopkins can get
is.
it figured out. Yeah, I'm hoping Tannehill and Hopkins get it figured out because I'm super excited to see Hopkins somewhere outside of a Cliffsbury offense. But it did not look good. Their secondary is absolutely horrendous. Their
Mm-hmm.
defensive line's solid, so teams aren't going to run on them, and
Yeah,
they'll get pressure to the quarterbacks against bad offensive lines, which
with
they
just a
did
front
against New
four.
Orleans. Carr had a super high ADOT, but I didn't watch much of the second half. In the first half, though, he was taking a lot of sacks he should not have taken. I didn't think he
Yeah,
looked great, but from what I heard talking with other analysts, he picked it up in the second half, so that's good for him. I really want that receiving core to do well with Olave and Michael Thomas and those guys. So it could be because Titans secondary is that bad. It could be just because he's learning a new offense and he's slowly starting to get the hang of it. Time will tell.
yep.
Carolina, Atlanta. Bijan Robinson. That's it. That's all we really need to talk about.
2 of his
on the
touchdowns
Atlanta
stolen
side.
at the goal line. It hurt my
But
heart.
yeah, dude, the snap share changed a lot once they took the lead. Though
Once they got the
like,
lead, yeah.
yeah,
They led
in most
9 out of
games, that's
15
not
snaps in the
going to
fourth
happen.
quarter, I think Dwayne McFarland said.
Yeah,
So like when
something
they're
like
leading,
that.
they're gonna
So
want Algier to get the ball as of right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I think
Algier's the
eventually
bowling ball
Bijan
man.
will earn those.
Well, I think it's since Bijan's being used in the running and receiving game, they kind of want to save his health a little more if they can. And
Yeah,
Algier's just a bowling ball, so it's like, all right, we just don't want to get in down and distance situations when we're winning. So they just like get us 2 yards. That's all they really need from him.
yeah. Keep the receivers healthy. Just get some light
Exactly.
jogging in. You're not gonna get the
Drake
ball
London,
anyways.
0 targets. Kyle Pitts open on every single play, but Desmond Ritter had way too much pressure to ever even look to him. It was Bijan was the only bright spot of that offense. It's amazing that they
Yeah,
scored 24 points. On the Carolina side, Bryce Young had a drive in the first half where he looked really, really good. You thought, okay, he's breaking off the rookie dust from the start. He's going to have a great game, and we're going to be talking about him to see how good his career is going to be the next day. After that drive, basically went ghost. The
yep.
only passes he completed were basically tight end crosses off play action or screens to Miles Sanders. Outside of that, there was not much to love from Bryce Young in that
Yeah.
game.
He threw 38 passes and averaged only 3.8 yards. And that is
So low.
it's not okay. But I mean, he's a rookie. I mean, we'll give him some time.
Yeah. No, I'm not being overly critical of him. It's just because of that one drive, I saw a lot of people talking super highly of him, and I saw something completely different outside of that one drive.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Indiana. This was a close game for a lot of it. The stat line shows 31-21. It looks like Jacksonville handled it pretty well. It was close. I think Jacksonville was losing for a good chunk of that second half.
Yeah,
Anthony
they
Richardson
didn't
played
take
really
over until 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's when they scored their last 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Anthony Richardson actually did look really good, but I also think Jacksonville was helping him out a little bit. I don't think their defense is that good. Trayvon Walker impressed me. I did not think that he was going to, he made a nice jump from last season. He looked much better, but the defense as a whole just was not there.
And
So
they'll have a tough test this week against Kansas City. So
yep,
find out what they're made of.
They were already bad versus tight ends last year. So if Travis Kelce's coming in healthy and the Chiefs are looking for a bounce back game after last season, coming off 10 days rest, they're in trouble. All right, San Francisco, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh looks so bad, and now Deontay Johnson's out. They're another team that's in trouble.
First big play of the second drive. Or not second drive, but second half.
They're
very unfortunate.
Trouble.
And it sounds like he'll be out for up to 4 weeks.
Yeah. I think it'll be more like 2 or 3 because I think they would have put him on IR if they really thought it was going to be 4, but I think it's being conservative.
Oh, definitely.
San Francisco picked up right where they left off last season.
Brandon Ayuk is him.
he's crazy.
I just been waiting for his breakout all off season,
He's
even
nuts.
last year. But it's just because they don't throw the ball down the field that often. But it looks like they really try to get him going.
I still don't know how to feel about Brock Purdy.
I don't
I don't know if
either.
I'm a full believer yet, but there's too many weapons on that offense. As long as you're an average quarterback, that offense will be
Yeah,
very successful.
they only need him to be a game manager and nothing more. So he's gonna
Yeah,
thrive in that situation.
I agree. Arizona, Washington, battle of the mid teams.
Oh, that was definitely battle of the mid. Jesus. Somehow, I
Sam
don't know how they
Howell,
almost won.
great first half, 180 yards. Second half, you would have thought he was injured and went out the first drive because you would have not have seen him out there.
Yeah,
Not really much to talk about on the Arizona side, I don't think. Do you have anything there?
their ass. That's about
Yeah,
it.
that sounds about right. Raiders, Broncos. Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams look better than I realized, and I saw some stats today that suggest that Adams still has some positive regression coming for him after that week 1. So
Yeah,
I wanted to be bullish on Adams this offseason, but I wasn't sure if Jimmy G was going to be healthy or not, which is kind of what that was contingent on. But Jimmy G looks healthy. He has a good connection with Devontae Adams.
he's still the king
I'm
of third
excited.
downs.
Exactly, man. And they're getting him in positions where they're not letting him get to down and distance on third down, which
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jacobs is definitely helping out with. But then the flip side of that is Josh Jacobs might walk next season. So what's going to be the
Yeah,
reaction to that?
and I think the
So,
Broncos really missed Jerry Jeudy out there going against that cover one defense. So
100%. I think people just need to come to the fact that Sutton is what he is.
yeah,
he's
he's
not
just a
he's not
big
a premier
receiver
wide
that can go up
receiver.
and get it.
Exactly. All right, game of the week: Miami, LA Chargers. Wow.
Tyreek may go for 2,000. He's got to
Bro,
have Tua and himself
Tua
stay
looked
healthy.
good.
He
Tua
did.
looked good. Like it seems it. This feels like the season where we finally might say, okay, it's not just because his team around him is good. He's not getting saved by his team. Like he's like leading the offense, which is
No, he's
crazy.
making good throws. I seen in the offseason he's
So,
working on his arm strength.
somebody made a good point on Twitter. So you know that last throw he made that was like he was on the run and launched like 30 yards, 40 yards to Tyreek in stride.
Mm-hmm.
So they were making a note as the difference between that throw now and that throw like 2 years ago. And they're
Yeah.
basically saying his core strength coming off that college injury, he didn't get to work on it much coming out of college. So his first year, his core strength was awful. It was way too much arm in it. And
Mm-hmm.
now he's using his core and his hips a lot, and it's allowing him to be a lot more accurate. So
That's
if
great.
that's true, then he will, because he's always been accurate. It's just been downfield, like how consistently can he make that throw? And if that core strength is the reason for it, and he got that sorted out, the league is in trouble, which
Yeah.
I did not think we'd be saying about Tua.
Because he could push himself in the top 5 consideration.
Top 5 is high.
That is.
I was thinking like top 8, top 9. That's
No,
bold.
but I'm saying he can push himself in there
Yeah.
if he continues to play like this.
Oh yeah. It makes it also. I was wondering this: had he gotten what's his face Tyreek Hill from his rookie year, what would the narrative be of him now?
That is a good question.
Yeah. And the Chargers run game was surprisingly good. Justin Herbert, solid. All right, we're gonna have to rapid fire some of these because I know JJ's got to go soon. Philadelphia, New England. Philadelphia didn't look great. I don't really have much to share on New England's side.
New England is. There's not much to say. It was interesting how much Zeke played. So I mean that running back split will be very interesting because they got Ty Montgomery, Ramondre, and Zeke. So we'll see how that plays out throughout the course of the season. The Eagles,
100%.
their front four looks good. Jalen Carter is him. Yeah, we'll see how they do this Thursday.
Green Bay and Chicago. We already talked about Jordan Love a lot. Chicago could not have been coached any worse. Jair Alexander locked down DJ Moore. Justin Fields couldn't handle pressure. Same old Chicago Bears.
Yeah, the Bears need a new offensive coordinator. Fire
They
him
need
immediately.
to do a lot of things. They need to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Rams, Seattle. Rams impressed a lot. Seattle disappointed a lot. They did have 2 tackles and a wide receiver go down, but
Yep.
Stafford just had his choice.
Stafford still looks good. And this is his first like fully healthy season in a long time. Like going into the season.
Yeah. No, Stafford without Cooper Kupp, might we add. It's it's too soon to tell whether we give credit to Stafford or if we throw criticism on Seattle. We'll see probably in the next week or two.
And they do play
Dallas
49ers next week.
Yep, that'll be fun. Dallas and the Giants. I'm throwing that game away.
There's not much to look over.
Yeah, I said Dallas are going to come out of the NFC as my overreaction because I was already expecting them to be good. So the fact they played that well on Monday night in prime time, it obviously looks really good. Confirmed what I already saw. But that's the thing; it confirmed what I already saw. It wasn't any realization from that game.
Yeah,
so I'm throwing that game away. Buffalo, New York Jets. New York Jets title chances are looking bleak now that Aaron Rodgers is out, but Zach Wilson. I'm still not expecting anything crazy from him, but a top 20 season isn't out of the realm of possibilities with the weapons he has.
Yep.
Josh Allen. You can take Josh Allen since I know you took us under that game.
Josh Allen. Jets give him nightmares is kind of how I told my friends. And the reason for that is they play the Jets play a lot of cover 4, which is whatever reason it's always been his weakness. And I think I've seen a stat where he hasn't had over 10.5 passing fantasy points against the Jets the last 3 matchups.
Jeez.
It's very concerning. He still has this problem of always trying to look for the big play. I've been saying that for the last 3 years about him. He's always trying to look for the big play instead of taking what's given to him. So those 2 interceptions downfield, both in a double coverage. Safety was always over the top. The receivers never beat the corner.
I will say one of them I didn't realize was on a 3rd and long, and they're like in that weird middle ground between punting and going for the field goal. So I think it was just like we don't have another if he throws anywhere else, it's not going to be a first down anyways. So he's might as well just make this a punt and give my receiver a chance to go get it. But the other 2 were really bad. Really bad. You see the guy that got all 3 interceptions, he had a clause in his contract that if he got 3 interceptions, he got a $250,000 bonus, and he got it.
I did not notice that. That is crazy.
So awesome.
Congrats to him.
But
it's funny because I called that fumble. I called the fumble like right before it happened in my text messages in the group chat. It was hilarious.
Even outside of Josh Allen, though, the Bills tried every way to lose that game. Josh Allen,
definitely
turnovers. Trey White played that Garrett Wilson interception wrong, in my opinion. The punt return, obviously, the false start to kick off overtime, so many things. Outside of that last drive in regulation, there's just they did everything they could have wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's everything, though. That was the last game I had written down. So
yeah,
this is the first episode that we'll be doing. We'll be doing another one tomorrow. Again, the plan is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday in the mornings. So make sure you tune in for those. And we appreciate you guys watching. See you guys tomorrow, and good luck with any fantasy sports, early prop betting you do. We'll see you tomorrow.